When you say steep, that's just at room temperature, it's not in a stove, right?
It's nothing. You know, it's not a scientific method. It's just. You might do it in lukewarm water because your cayenne pepper will mix in more easily in lukewarm water. But yeah, just. And that's one thing about watering plants, by the way. Don't use cold water. You know how you go when you walk into the shower and it's cold and you're going. Well, plants do exactly the same thing. Leave your water in the sun. If you're using a hose, if you're not using a hose pipe, but if you're using watering cans or whatever, try and leave your water in the sun so that it's not very, very cold. Okay. Done?
Now, well water contains nematodes, doesn't it?
It does, but some of them are beneficial.
Nematodes or nematodes?
Yeah, it depends on which nematode it is. That's the problem. I've got well water, but then I don't have all the chlorine bleach that goes through, the city water. So, yeah.
Okay.
But you should shock your well at least once a year anyway.
At least.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's that one. So next workshop we're going to look at succession and interplanting. In other words, getting the most from a small area and trying to build up disease resistance at the same time. And then the one after Easter is on out in the garden, soil, manures, composts, teas, mulches, watering, weeding, harvesting, whatever. And then for those who are interested, I'm doing 2 sessions on March the 31st at the Food Forum, which is being put on by Conservation Council and the Fredericton Foodies. There are still a few places available. It's at Renaissance College. It's a whole day session. So if you look on our website, the CCMB website, you'll find the details on that. And my 2 sessions are processing and storing food, and the other one is growing organically, but they're only 45 minutes of taster sessions almost. They're just to throw things at you so that you can go and have a look at it. I'm going to be talking about things like root cellaring, freezing, so things like that. Okay, just to get back to this alfalfa compost tea. It's pretty useful for starting seeds. That's why I brought some with me tonight. And if anybody's interested, I'll bring some more next week. This is natural, and it has certain of the trace elements in it. So this is alfalfa. Alfalfa is a very deep-rooted plant, which brings up all the trace elements that we were talking about from the soil into its leaves. It looks like something like clover. The trouble is if you grow alfalfa, it's one of those wonderful plants that if you've got it, you don't get rid of it very easily. So it's quite often easier to buy it. And you can buy this at any feed store, whether it's St. Mary's Co-op or Sugarcane or whatever. But because you don't want a 25-kilo bag sitting there, I've decided to pack it for people who are interested in it. And what I've done is I've added to it boron, that pinch of boron that you needed, magnesium, which is basically Epsom salts, horrible stuff, but it's very useful, bone meal, bit of bone meal, and I've actually also found afterwards that I had some calcium lying around in calcium, well, actually limestone form, but in a powder form. So what I've done is I've put them all together and I've put some instructions on it. This is for 1.5 gallons, that size, and that size is for 5 gallons. So if anybody's interested, that one's 150 and that one's 350. So I will bring some more next week. You mix it up in water and you add a tablespoon of, for the 5, you add a tablespoon, it's basically a liquid fertilizer. And you add blackstrap molasses to it every 3rd day, stir it twice a day, then you dilute it 1:4, and if you can stand the smell of it inside the house, you can put it on your seedlings that you've already started, but it is pretty smelly, as you've just smelt, and it gets worse as it gets richer, or else use it as liquid fertilizer. Or liquid fertilizer, but don't use it straight out of the packet and put it on your plants because it will burn the plants.
Is that the amount you would have put in this
Uh,
4-liter jug?
No, that's taken out of a 5-gallon can.
So how much would that make?
That makes 5 gallons, that size. This one makes 1.5, which is what 1.5 gallons is. Well, it's 4 litres to a gallon roughly. So it'll make 7 litres. But then you actually mix it 1:4 when you're using it as a fertilizer. So it goes a long way. But as I say, keep it outside because it's not exactly pleasant.
How often do you use that
Um,
in the garden once things are planted?
Now this is highly nitrogenous, so if you're looking at things like
You use it on tomatoes, probably.
yeah. tomatoes, yes, you wouldn't use it on potatoes. Anything that goes underground, you wouldn't really use it on because you don't want them producing masses and masses of leaves. So it's more for your leaf vegetables, your lettuces, Swiss chard, all the cabbages and all those things. Good for tomatoes, but don't use it too frequently. I tend to use it about every 3 weeks. Yeah, but I haven't got very good soil. You know, for somebody who's got really good soil with lots of compost, you're not going to use that much. You use it possibly twice a season. But I've got soil that we're working on. I've been working on it for the last 3 years, but I've got an awful long way to go because somebody just farmed it and farmed it and farmed it and farmed it and chewed it up with tractors and tillers and, you know, and never put anything back. And it's rocky as well, so I tend to use that every two weeks or so. So, right, so that's basically some good references for you. The Rodale website, because they are the top American organic people, and they produce these books, which are wonderful. This one, Great Garden Companions, and the one that I've just passed around, and the one that I was supposed to be bringing with me last week and then left behind. So this is the square foot gardening that we're going to look at next week for whatever, the interplanting and succession planting. New Seed Starters, whoa, get my tongue around that one. New Seed Starters Handbook by Nancy Bubell. That was the one I was supposed to bring last week and didn't. But that's not just about seed starting, it's seeds, planting out. She's got a whole section on pests as well. Greenhouses, seed saving at the end, and then she's got a whole bit at the back as well about each individual vegetable. So that's what we're. These are all available on Amazon. So that's where I got them from. If you subscribe to the Rodale website, if you get on the website, you can subscribe to their e-zine, the magazine that's just by email, or you can subscribe to their actual magazine. They are 70 years old. It was started by father, now handed down to daughter, and these are the latest 2 that have just come out. And if you subscribe now, it's $23 Canadian for, I think it's 12 or 14 issues. You'll get a little garden planner as well, which is really good. So if you subscribe to that. That's what it used to look like in the 80s. These are absolutely full of really fascinating stuff. You know, we've come quite a long way from there. And I got this funny, actually my husband brought home this little book the other day, and it's got some really good bits about various different types of discouraging rabbits. This guy's down in the States somewhere, and obviously snowshoe hares don't do as much damage as the rabbits they've got down there. And he says, well, you can get some stuff called fox oil. Spread that around, rabbits are gone. How to get rid of skunk odor. Now, I had a dog that got skunked last year. And he says, make a solution of equal parts water and white vinegar. Well, I tried the tomato juice because somebody told me that tomato is good for skunks. Didn't really work. Hydrogen peroxide is the answer to skunks, by the way. How to discourage caterpillars. Grass mowings. Spread them around your vegetables. Don't put them on top of your vegetables, spread them around them. And caterpillars apparently don't like the smell of grass mowings. Sour milk. Yeah, grass clippings. Yeah. Sour milk. Make a solution of sour milk and a little lemon juice or vinegar. Spoon this into the center of each cabbage once a week.
It's hard to get sour milk. are just rots because it's been homogenized.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, I guess you could just sour it with vinegar.
Sour it with vinegar or lemon juice, yeah. Like you make sour cream. The other plant deterrents are the wormwoods. They're very good for getting rid of
Artemisia is one,
caterpillars.
isn't it?
Artemisia,
Yeah.
that is basically wormwood, yeah. Artemisia absinthium and the southernwood wormwood. Earwigs. Somebody was asking me about earwigs last year. What does he say? Not considered pests. Actually, they are quite beneficial, but I know a lot of people don't like them. Paper or plant tube traps. So, obtain the hollow stems of elder or sunflowers, or you can actually use toilet rolls or those long, the paper towel rolls. Very good with that. Or you can make it up with rolled paper, and you suspend them, or you can lay them on the ground. If you're doing it in fruit trees, because a lot of fruit trees, especially things like nectarines and apricots and peaches and pears, earwigs really like them. Suspend the traps along the branches at night, and each morning blow the insects out of the tube into a bottle filled with water. Simple as that. Yes. Well.
And blow fast.
Good practice for the singing that we're going to be doing this weekend. Or you can use plant pots. Turn them upside down. The earwigs will go in underneath them, and then you just literally grab the earwigs the next morning.
So stacking the patio chairs works pretty well too.
You're on the barbecue, you know.
They like barbecues. Yeah, absolutely.
I just turned barbecue.
Yeah. So this is a little book called Garden Wisdom by Bernard Schofield. I don't think there are that many copies of it around, but it's got some interesting things about, putting hair underneath where you're going to plant your beans. Because our hair actually has a lot of trace elements in it. So next time you go to the barber, just grab it, get them to give you a big bag of sweepings. And every time you plant beans, just put a little bit in the bottom of the hole. So he says, I haven't tried it, I'm going to try it this year. So,
You say it does work?
yeah, he says it works. I've never tried it, so I'm going to try it this year and I'll tell you next year. Okay. So, they're quite, and there's that book by Sally Jean Cunningham. Companionplanting.net is a very useful website. rexresearch.com is a good site. And for those of you who wanted to get Kosovo tomato seed. Now, I went to CD Saturday, they didn't have any this year. So I'm pretty sure that Andrea Berry at Hope Seeds, if you look her up on the internet, she will have it. She's moved from Keswick Ridge. She used to be up at Keswick Ridge. She's moved down to the Annapolis Valley, and I'm pretty sure she will have Kosovo seed. Kosovo. Kosovo was one of the few tomatoes last year that didn't get blighted so badly. It's a pink. It's a little, well, not a big. It's quite a big pink tomato. But the only trouble was I found that they cracked quite easily. Maybe I didn't water them enough.
Did they taste wonderful?
They're not as interesting as some of the others. I tend to like cherry tomatoes more than I like big tomatoes.
I like Brandywine's my tomato.
Yeah, Brandywine's brilliant. Yeah, it's a really good one. Okay, so those of you who don't know my contact details, there they are.